Hi guys, welcome back to another interesting tutorial. If you are new here, you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, you're also welcome. So I'll be showing you how you can cut and sew a lace-up corset back. This is a requested video, so I'll be working with the leftover fabrics I have with me. I am not making this for anyone, it's just for tutorial purpose. Okay, so I have this satin fabric which is going to serve as my main fabric. I have a skin tone net which is going to serve as my yoke, and of course my cotton lining. So I'll be working with this basic back pattern. I've gone ahead to transfer to another paper, so I won't tamper with this. Looking at the armhole, you can see it has a seam allowance around the armhole. That's exactly what you're seeing here. The pattern doesn't have any zipper allowance because we don't need that. The pattern also have a waist dart, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create my waist cinching effect. And for me to do that, I have to consider how snatched I want my waist to be and how much skin I want to expose if I'm not using a modesty panel. Okay, so from your chest line, you can go in by 2.5 or more, and from your waistline, you can go in by 1.5 or more. You can even do 2.5 at the chest line and also do 2.5 at the waistline, or even more, depending on what you want to achieve. Okay, so from the chest line, you can as well go down by 0.5 or 1 inch to create your waist cinching effect. Okay, so it's not only, you cannot only do that on the chest line, you can as well come down and create your waist cinching effect. So what I'm going to do next is, for my chest line, I'll go in by 2.5, and at my waistline, I'll go in by 1.5, and I'll connect the 2 points. So this is it. This is 2.5 and this is 1.5. So I'll connect the 2 points this way. You see? So this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to alter my shoulder line. I want my shoulder line to be 3 inches. So on the shoulder tip, I'll go in by 3 inches and mark. So this is it. With my French curve, I'll connect the shoulder to my chest this way. Can you see? So this one is going to serve, this part is going to serve as my yoke now. You can as well slant your yoke by coming down, let's say 6 inches or more. You can as well divide your armhole by 2, and from there, from your midpoint, you connect back to your chest line. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. So you can go, like I said, you can go down by 6 or 6.5 and slant it to your chest line this way. And you see, so this part is going to serve as the yoke. Okay, so this is the part I'm going to be using my skin tune net. Okay, so for you not to be confused, I'm going to mark where I'll be stitching the loop. So this is the part I'll be stitching my loop. Can you see? So this is the part. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out my yoke. So this is the yoke. this part again. I'll cut it off. Hope you are not confused. So this is our yoke. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to create my modesty panel. Now at this point, if you don't want to use modesty panel, you can go ahead and cut off this part, okay, and continue with your drafting. So I'll still go ahead and cut off this part and the sides here so that you can see how the pattern will look. Can you see? So this side, I'm going to use it as the panel, the modesty panel. So remember that from this center back, we went in by 2.5, and from the waistline, we went in by 1.5. So have that at the back of your mind. So what I'm going to do now to create my modesty panel, what I'm going to do now is to multiply 2.5 by 2. That is for the chest line. I'm going to multiply 2.5 by 2. If I multiply 2.5 by 2, I should have 5 inches. Then I'll add 2 inches to that, or even 3 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark it. 2.5 inches plus 2 inches will give me 7 inches. Okay, you can do more, like I said. Okay, let's do 8 inches. This will enable our modesty panel to be inserted inside properly without coming out when we lace up our corset. Okay, so from the waistline, remember I went in by 1.5. 1.5 times 2 will give me 3 inches plus 3 inches will give me 6 inches. So I'll mark 6 inches. Okay, hope you can see what I'm doing. This is the 8 inches for the chest line, and the down part is 6 inches. Okay, so I'm going to connect the points this way. Can you see? So this becomes our modesty panel. From here to here and here to here becomes our modesty panel. You can as well, from the chest line, rule a straight line without slanting it. So I'm going to do that. Can you see? So what I'm going to do next is to cut out the modesty panel, and this is it. I hope you are not confused at this point. Can you see? So this becomes our modesty panel. Can you see? And this becomes our back. Can you see? So I'm going to go now and transfer this to my net, and also transfer this to my satin and my lining. So before I go, I have to close up my dart because I want a dartless back. But if you don't want a dartless back, you can go ahead and take your dart, or you can as well cut this open, cut the dart line open, cut off your dart, add allowance to join it back. It all depends on what you want to achieve. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close my darts. So this is it. You can see I've closed my darts. So another thing to take note of is your modesty panel, where you have the slanted line. So this is the slanted side and this is the straight side. Okay, so you have to take note of that. So I've transferred my pattern to my fabric, as you can see. So this is the down part of the back. You can see I left allowance to join to the yoke and also left allowance to sew my loop and also turn with the lining. Okay, so this is my modesty panel. You can see I cut the top part on fold. Can you see is on fold? You can as well cut yours in pieces and remember to add seam allowance to join the pieces together. Okay, so remember I asked you to take note of the slanted part and the straight parts. So the slanted parts, for the slanted parts, I'll be stitching the slanted part with the center back this way, one side of the center back this way, and the other straight part will be inside of the other piece this way. Can you see? This is how it's going to look like. So the straight part will be inside, be under this other side piece, okay? While the slanted piece, I will stitch it together with the other side center back, okay? So that's that. Remember to add allowance to the down part to close up your modesty panel, okay? So that's that. I've also gone ahead to cut out my yoke. You can see I cut it in pieces, and you see I'll be using one to turn the other. One is going to serve as my line, the other will serve as the main yoke. So that's that. So I left a quarter inch this side to turn the yoke inside. I left quarter inch this side. Then you see I left quarter inch this side. The down part I left 0.5 inch to join to the lower part of the corsets. So I'll go over to my machine and start stitching. But before I go, please remember to iron your interfacing on your fabric. If you are working with a low quality lining, please go ahead and iron a paper stay or a gum stay on your lining so you can stabilize the fabric, okay? So I have this piece of fabric I cut out for the rope I'll be using to lace up the corset. The width is 2.5 and the length is 52, which is not too long. If you're cutting yours, let your length be more than 52 so that you have enough to lace and also tie your rope, okay? So for the loop, this is the one I'm using for the loop. The width is 1.5. So how many loop you'll be forming should determine your length, okay? So I'm done turning the yoke, as you can see. Can you see? So after doing that, I close the down part so that it won't give me issue while joining to the lower part of the corset. You can see the second piece. Can you see? And for my modesty panel, I've closed the sides, leaving the slanted side open. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join the yoke to the lower part of the corset. So I've gone ahead to mark out the 0.5 seam allowance I left to stitch my yoke, stitch my loop and also turn with the lining. So I'm going to place the yoke on that mark, okay, and sew. So I'm going to place my yoke this way. Can you see what I'm doing? Making sure it starts on that making sure it starts on the 0.5 allowance I left. After the 0.5 allowance I left, please. So this is the 0.5. This is where I'm placing my yoke. Can you see? So at the end of the day, I will still have space to fix my loop. So I'm going to turn with the lining. So I'll place the lining on top of it and I will sew. Can you see? So I'm done. This is it. And you see, this is the lining side and this is the main fabric. Can you see? Neatly done. Can you see? And this is the wrong side. Can you see? And this is the second piece. Can you see? So I've gone ahead to turn the piece I'm using for my loop to the right side, as you can see. So the one I'm going to use for the lace up, that's a rope. I'm going to show you how to turn it to the right side, okay? So I have a cord here with a pin. So this is the cord. I'll be using this to turn the rope to the right side, and this is the safety pin I have. Can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do is to insert this cord inside this piece this way. So when I'm done doing that, I'll close up this top part. So I've closed the top part, as you can see. So the cord is inside the fabric. Can you see? Remember to close your side before doing that. Okay, so can you see? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to start pulling the cord. Can you see what I'm doing? You push it as you're pulling the cord. You make sure that this top part that you stitch goes inside this way. Watch what I'm doing. You have to be patient. It takes time. If you can't do this, you can use your bias tape, fold it into two, and close the side, and use that as your loop and as your rope as well. Okay? Can you see? The top that I closed has entered inside the fabric, so I'll keep dragging. I hope you are seeing what I'm doing. I'll keep dragging it. As I'm dragging the cord, the fabric will come out this way. Can you see? Can you see? So I'll continue doing this until the rope comes out, okay? So this is it. You see? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut off this cord. So if you find it difficult to turn your rope or your loop to the right side, you cut out the excess allowance. Remember that I closed the side by using a 0.5 inch and also for the loop. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut my loop into 2 inches. Can you see? So this is it. I've cut them into 2 inches. Okay, so if you don't have a cord, you can as well use your thread. Just double your thread and tie it around your safety pin and insert it. Okay, you can as well use a loop turner if you have one. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark where I'll be stitching the loop. So I'll mark 1 inch. That is the space which that's the space between each loop. Okay, so that will be the space between each loop. So I'll do the same on the side. Can you see? So the next thing to do is to start stitching the loop. So I'm going to open my fabric this way, making sure I don't stitch on the lining. Okay, so I'll turn my loop this way. Can you see? I'll fold it into two this way. I'll position one end here and the other one here, and I'll sew by 0.5. Can you see what I'm doing? Can you see? I'll sew by 0.5. So I'm done sewing one. The next thing I'm going to do is to position the next one on top of this one. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Let me show you. So I'm done sewing this one. Can you see it? So the next thing I'm going to do is the second one. I'm going to position it this way. Can you see? Stitch, turn it, and position it on the point, the 1 inch point I marked. Can you see? And stitch again. Can you see? Then the next one, I'll place it on top of the last one this way, and the other end I'll place it on the 1 inch mark. That is how I'll continue doing it until I get to the last point. So I'm done, as you can see. Can you see? Can you see? And this is the second side. Can you see? Can you see? So at this point, if you want to insert your boning, you can go ahead and stitch your regime boning. If you are working with a plastic boning, you can go ahead and create your channels. So because I'm using this for a tutorial purpose, I won't be inserting any boning. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to close up this rough edges, that is torn with the lining. So before I do that, I have to place my modesty panel on top of the loop this way. Can you see? Moving my yoke out of the way, then use the lining to cover it, and I will sew by 0.5 from this part down. So I'm done stitching, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do is to turn to the right side. Can you see? And the other piece, this is the other piece. Can you see? The one without modesty panel. Can you see? So this is how it's going to look like. If you notice, the modesty panel did not end at the waistline. I left ½ inch allowance so that if I'm making a gown, I'll be able to join to the lower part of the gown. Okay, so that's that. You can see it's looking so beautiful. Now, if you're not going to be using loop, if you're going to be using eyelets, you won't be stitching your modesty panel at the center back this way. What you're going to do is to open up your lining. You can go in from the center back in by 3 inches or more, and you open up your lining. Make sure that you have you add allowance to join it back. Then you fix your modesty panel there, so that by the time you're done, your modesty panel will cover up the holes on your eyelets. So that's how to go about that, okay? So I will go and lace up my corset so that you can see the finished look. So I'm done lacing the back. As you can see, you can see that my rope is not long enough. Can you see? So that's the final look. Thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Bye.